Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, wherever you are around the world. My name is Jean-Michel Fontenot, professor of cello at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. And on behalf of my cello colleagues, Jennifer Kolb, Bonnie Hampton, and Emo Siang, and of our entire conservatory community, I welcome you to our first Tiny Dome Masterclass. We have been presenting these Tiny Dome events since March 27th. At the start of the sheltering at home in California, and have witnessed an abundance of talent and creativity from our students, alums, and faculty. And also I have to talk about our staff, all these people behind the scenes who are working tirelessly to make all of this possible. We also want to thank Harry Winston for their generous support of the Tiny Dome series. In today's masterclass, you will hear 4 of our student cellists. They have each prepared a video recording to avoid any possible issues with internet lag. And we will be playing these videos at the start of each student's coaching. Also, at the end of the masterclass, time permitting, our guest may have a little bit of time to answer some of your questions. So if you feel inspired to do so, please write your questions in our live chat box on the YouTube page. You should have the link to that in case you are on the SFCM website. So we are very excited to have with us for the first time in this school, cellist Johannes Moser. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you very much.
One of our most brilliant cellists today, and he's pursuing a vast and eclectic career around the world. By looking at your bio, Johannes, I can only quote some of the things there. Soloing with major orchestras, doing a lot of chamber music, new audience outreach, exploring repertoires from early style to new music premieres, and also mountain biking. Yay, wow, I'm so impressed. And of course, doing online cello masterclasses. I know it's just online, so we can't hear any noise, but let's have a loud virtual round of applause for you, Johannes. And we're very honored to have you with us today. Yay.
Thank you, Jean-Michel. Thank you very, very much. I can hear it from San Francisco all the way here to Munich in Germany. Thank you very much. It's interesting that you mention all my activity around the world, because of course now all my activity is around my living room. And I guess that goes for all of us. And this weird moment in time where in our profession where we go out in the communities and onto the stage and onto basically into people's lives, and that is now stopped. I think together with theater and maybe tourism industry, this is probably the most visibly affected, I would think, just because what we do now is just also restricted to this digital moment that we have. And I think, as weird as this is also a chance for growth and a chance to explore an area that in classical music has been neglected for a long time, I think. And so maybe, with all the negative things that we are experiencing with it and with all the hardship that comes with it, maybe when we come out of it, we've also distilled an essence from it, where it's like, well, now we actually know how to do these conferences online, and now we know how to actually have good sound and not just a crackly sound going on. And thanks to all the wonderful people behind the scenes, this is made possible now that we actually have a decent sound in these conferences. So I hope that we come out of this positively in some way. With all the sacrifice that we're doing. Now, you already said it, there is going to be some time for questions and for maybe also observations and all that. And I'd love to take all the questions that come our way. And Jean-Michel, if you're okay with that, maybe we'll just dive into it.
Yes, absolutely. So our first student cellist is Zoe Lee. She's from Taiwan, currently still in San Francisco at the Conservatory's door. And she is finishing her sophomore year, and she will be playing Bach Third Suite in C major, the Sarabande and the two Bourrées.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Wonderful. So I just unmuted myself here. I hope that's all right. Hi, Zoe.
Hi.
Nice to see you. And congratulations. I have to say you play the sarabande with a lot of feeling and a lot of immersion, and you also play the Bourrées with a lot of elegance. So I really appreciate that. I was already wondering in your video, is that a Canadian flag in the background?
I'm in my
is
friend's
it?
room.
Very good.
Friend's room.
Fantastic, because I'm half Canadian.
Oh,
so
I
I saw the lower part and I was like, this could be. So excellent. Zoe, let's talk about the sarabande as a dance in general. What is the signifying rhythmical element that signifies most sarabandes, would you say?
I felt like the third beat is like more like go to the first beat and then second. I feel like it's like walking very slowly. Like
Yeah, and actually the most important thing is the second beat.
Yeah.
Because the second beat is strong. Yeah? Which is often unexpected, but when you look at the harmonies, it makes a lot of sense, except for one. Do you know in which suite there is an exception? It's actually in the fourth. There he's not going to the second beat, but he's going to the second bar. Yeah. So Bach is playing with that idea of going to the second beat, and he's like, I'm gonna mix it up a little bit, and I'm just gonna go to the second beat. Doesn't matter. Let's talk about this suite, the third suite. Now, when you have a heavy beat, it would make sense to put it on a down bow, I would think, no? Like if you naturally, I mean, you wouldn't play. Would definitely play. Yeah. So when there is a heaviness, it goes on the down bow. That is just how our physics are made. Yeah. And I want to share with you something that absolutely changed my life. I don't know if you heard the name Nikolaus Harnoncourt, but he was a very, very influential Austrian conductor, and he used to be a cellist in his early life, but then he became a conductor of performance practice, and also of just the idea to come back to the old principles of how the music of Bach, Beethoven, Handel was performed. Yeah, and he has this very interesting theory. You know the down bow sign, which looks a little bit like the letter N. Yeah. There's a Latin word called nobiles, and so N stands for nobiles. Nobiles are noblemen and noble women, and because they're noble, they have a lot of money, and so they get really fat. And so the noble notes are the heavy notes. Yeah. V, on the other hand, like the up bow sign, he relates to the Latin word viles, which are peasants. Yeah, viles are the ones that don't have any money left because the nobiles took all of it. Yeah, so they are the skinny ones. So those are the notes that are weak, and so they go on the up bow. Yeah, and just as a thought experiment, let's go through the first 2 bars or 3 bars and look where are noble notes. So that means notes that are heavy, namely the second beats, and probably also the first beats. And let's just put the letter N over them, so a down bow. And the less important ones, we'll put a V on top of it. Yeah? So, first note would be nobiles, I would think, no? First to major chord. Exactly. And by playing you all automatically get a wonderful resolution. Yeah? Yeah? So, and also the up bow gives you the chance to do what you wanted to do in the first place, which was the third beat walks towards the next first beat, which I think is a wonderful thing. Yeah, so that we keep the dance motion. And this is another thing that I wanted to talk to you about. I feel that you let the dancers stand for a little bit too long. I wish they had the chance to move a little bit more fluid. Yeah, so that, yeah, in German we say it's ein Schreittanz, which is, schreiten is not walking, but actually it's moving like this a little bit. Yeah, you can't see my feet now, but it's you can imagine. Yeah, it's not stomping along, but it's just sort of going from one to the next. But in order to do that, I need to feel the connection from one beat to the next. You want to give this a shot? And and one more thing. When there are 10 cellists in the room talking about Bach, there are usually 11 opinions. So you can feel free to take my opinion at the end of the class and throw it in the trash can. Yeah, because I don't know anything. I know as much as you do. Yeah. So we're just experimenting here in this lovely safe space. Yeah. Okay, let's try it. Yes. Okay. So now I have the feeling the bow is already taking care of a lot of the music for us. Yeah. Because just by the nature of physics work. Yeah. Now let's look at the harmony. In the first bar, what is the bass doing? Let's look at the bass. Yeah. So, what do we call the first the first step of the harmony?
Tonic?
It's the tonic, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, very good. So we have the tonic, and then we go to the G, which is relating to the C. Which step?
It's dominant.
Dominant. Absolutely right. And so we have. So it makes absolute sense to. The dominant, as the name implies, is dominating the tonic. Yeah. So it's definitely stronger. Now, when we come to what harmony do we have here?
It's the dominant of the dominant.
Yeah, exactly. because we go to the subdominant later on. We have a C7, yeah. And then we go to the subdominant, yeah. So I would imagine that is definitely stronger than. Yeah. The only question that you have to decide now is when you have, is this stronger than this?
I think the second measure is stronger than the first measure, right?
Say again, sorry?
Oh, the second measure, the downbeat of the second measure is stronger than the first beat of the first measure.
I feel the same. I feel the same. Just by the nature of the dissonances that we have here. Yeah, this really calls for a resolution. Yeah, so also harmonically speaking, it's stronger. So now we have created a hierarchy. Why don't you show us what that sounds like?
Okay.
And Zoe, I would love for you to take your own idea of that third beat, not only being the resolution, but also being sort of the upbeat to the next. Yeah.
Okay.
There are often notes in music. You find that with Bach, but you also find it in Schumann's and Brahms' music and all these masters, where a note has a double function. It ends something, but it also continues something. So this note has two energies, yeah? Ending energy and continuing energy.
Okay.
You want to give that another shot? Yeah. Okay, very good. Now, it's still a little bit rough around the edges, but you get the idea, yeah? Of course, now we want to avoid sort of an unnatural crescendo, but it's more that my being is already thinking of the next, but in the sound wise, I'm phrasing it off. Yeah, let's give it one more try. This is important. Now we are back in C major. Yeah, let's not take that for granted. That now we've completed the. We're back. Yeah. So let's find a. We're home for just a little while as a point of relaxation. Now, we've talked a lot about harmony and about rhythm. Let's focus on the function of notes. We already discovered one double function note, which I think is cool. Well, two of them actually. Now you have the chords, which are, defining what the architecture is, but you also have notes that just walk from one chord to the next, so to speak. And I think this is a clear case that we arrive at the next harmony. Yeah. So let's not give them the same. In Latin, you would say gravitas, or the same importance or the same heaviness as the chords, but actually, like. I don't know, do you do any yoga, stuff like that?
Yeah, I do yoga.
Oh, perfect, great. I just started again. It's great. It's a little hard on my wrist, but it's fantastic. So you have poses. Yeah, let's just say the chords are the poses. And then you have movement that goes from one pose to the next. Oh. So you go from, I don't know, Downward Dog to Warrior 2 or something like that, yeah? And let's not make that movement in between as heavy as the positions, yeah. So we fix ourselves in the chords, but then we go on, yeah. So let's go from this chord and show me how you walk from one thing to the next. Yeah, we have again. Sorry. Yeah, if you play Ambo, you have a very hard time showing me the dissonance that I have in the seventh for the resolution. Yeah, wonderful. So that is kind of the concept that I would like for you to just play around with a little bit and see what can I do with that information. If you decide to come back to your old bowing, at least you've experienced what it feels like to have a heavy two, you know? So if you say at the end, it's not for you to do the retake, or you feel like you would like to have more legato, that's completely fine. But at least now, once we felt, this is what the heavy two feels like.
Okay.
Yeah. Shall we look a little bit in the Bourrées? Is that all right? Yeah. Now, I think you play this with a lot of panache. I think it's really great. I wonder if these two notes could actually go towards the upper note rather than to be very heavy. What is a bourrée? What does that mean? Where does the name come from?
It's a dance, right? And
yeah, they're all dances, honestly, like, except for the prelude.
It's like the very light dance from the upbeat to the downbeat, like keep on very fast.
Yeah. Now I was actually looking for the literal meaning, and bourrée is a dance of a peasant. Yeah. Ein Bourre ist ein Bauer. Ein Bauer is a peasant. That is the German. Well, Bourre is actually I think from a Dutch origin, and then Bauer is the German version, and peasant is the English version. So it's a peasant's dance. We have two peasant dances, yeah, and obviously that peasant is vastly different from. Yeah, but I want you to put your thinking cap on just by yourself, because you are a very creative person, so you will come to great result. Just to find out what is the difference between a bourrée, so a peasant's dance, and a menuet. Menuet being something that was more danced at the court, you know. So this is more of a dance that is. Should I say it's more elegant, yeah? And bourrée certainly has more depth and more punch to it. So you played that well, but I would like for you to find a tempo where you don't isolate the notes by themselves, but actually where I have the feeling that the yum, which invites me to this is a forward motion, yeah. Very nice, very nice. Very good. Let's just take, sorry to interrupt you so quickly, but I just want to make the most of our time. Let's look at, again, harmonically, what is happening. Let's play the bass. We are in C major, so probably, da, 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 we're in C, yeah. Yes. No, actually, it's just a very simple cadenza. It's 1-5, 5-1. Da 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 dum bum ba da dum ba da dum ba da dum. Yeah. And you know, when I play this, I imagine there's this peasant who's been playing the double bass all his life, you know, and it's actually not a very virtuosic part, yeah, and so when you come to that dominant, stay dominant, and now we got to tonica again. Resolution, yeah, because I heard a lot of you playing an accent on the resolution, on the harmonic resolution, yeah. So maybe just so that you don't have to look for the harmonic bass notes, it would be great if you could analyze. Just now that we all have a little bit more time, you analyze the bass, and you see just as an instruction manual, tonica, dominant, dominant. And tonica, yeah. You know, we all are sort of looking in the dark for the interpretation, how to play Bach, and do play like this, or do play with vibrato, with non-vibrato, and all this. We have very clear instructions from Bach. We have harmony and we have rhythm, and with that we can already do a lot. But you need to know your harmony, yeah, because these are not melodic pieces. These are harmonic pieces, yeah? Which brings me to the Bourrées number 2. Please don't fall in the trap of making a melodic line of it. Yeah, because we are still in harmony. Yeah, just so that we always keep in mind, this is a 4-part harmony played by an instrument that can maximum play 2 notes at the same time, right? So that's what I remind myself always, because I've also fallen into the trap of looking for melodies, yeah, but there are no melodies here, yeah.
Okay.
In my opinion, in my humble opinion. Zoe, this was great, wonderful. I hope this was a little bit of food for thought for you, but I think probably we should move on to the next one.
Thank you
it was nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I unmuted myself here. Yeah, wonderful, Carlo. Really, really great.
Thank you.
Yes. I wonder how to go about this, because, you play this with such conviction in the style that you do, that I wonder if my comments that I would give are not going to disturb you more than they're going to help you. But, at the risk of you just, again, throwing it out at the end of this lesson, maybe I'll share a little something. I'm sure you heard the lesson before where we talked about the sarabande, just to try these two down bows once, yeah? But one thing that comes out very strongly in your playing is that you enhance the notes by a very significant vibrato. And I want to do a little experiment with you, is whenever you want to play a vibrato, instead you play a trill. Because in my humble opinion, a vibrato in Baroque music is absolutely possible, but it has the function of something much higher than just a beautification of the note, like a little bit of rouge and a little bit of, just making the note sound better. But actually, the vibrato works as an ornament. So let's replace the ornament just as a test. And whenever you feel you want to vibrate a note, instead you trill, okay? Just like sort of as an alarm bell. So let's give that a shot.
And the sarabande?
Yeah, let's try it. Let's just do like 2 bars or so. Da-da-ba. Yeah. You have to do a double now. Yeah. Okay. This is. I just want to say this is an amazing exercise, just to raise awareness of. I'm vibrating here and here and here and here and here. And am I consciously deciding, yes, this needs an extra ornament, this note? Or is it just a habit? Yeah? Because I think nothing is worse than say, oh, I did this and that just because it's a habit. But if it's a choice, who am I to argue that you can't do it? I mean, if it's your choice. But I saw that there were a couple of moments where like, wow, there is another one. So you had to trill again. Yeah. The reason, and I don't mean to be dogmatic about this, but the reason why I want you to question your use of vibrato is what I've said to Zoe in the lesson before, is that this is music that is based on harmony and not melodic music. And by putting all this vibrato, you turn it into a melody. Yeah? So just by the conception of it, you turn it into something else. And again, it sounds great. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It sounds really cool. And I like this sort of tightness of the vibrato. It's really good. I just wonder if you're not turning it into something that it's not, and take away the attention from the harmonic progression a little bit too much. Yeah? And if you want to experiment once with what we did in the lesson before with the 2 down bows. Now I know, of course, this is under 1 note. So if that doesn't feel good, then maybe one can start an uppo there. Yeah, but I do like the retake actually. Yeah, and again we have. You want to give that a shot?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to judge the real dynamics through Zoom. So maybe you are resolving when you come back to the D minor, but it sounded here as if the is just as strong as Yeah, and this might also be a cellistical thing because we have three notes and it's good to come to that F. Let's be mindful that we resolve there again. Yeah, and one last thing, please don't be lazy on an. I do think this sarabande could use a little bit of a French overture shortness of the 16th notes. Ram, pa ba, yeah, instead of yam da da, becomes a little bit heavy-footed in my. And let's imagine that we're still moving forward. Okay, now we are sort of resorting to this half. You need to do some air travel, yeah? Maybe you travel and then... I don't know if you can see that, but you just play the note, you travel, and then you play. It's because each note has its own. It has da ba ba ba. At least that's how it sounds here. But these are just notes that go from one harmony to the next. Yeah. Please don't get stuck on tom dim tom dim da da yum bum ba. Yeah. Give the dancers a chance to elegantly move forward rather than going step by step. But this is actually a motion that goes forward. Can we try one more time? Carlo, thank you.
From the beginning?
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Yeah. Again, sorry, I feel like I have on each note I have a little something going on, but you take away the attention from the harmonies. Yeah. And I wouldn't shy away from playing open string and then to go on the trill. This is something that I noticed a lot with you, that you play, rather than playing an open string, you go to fourth position. And I like the long strings, just because, when this was played on gut string, the higher you went, it sounded more like Dead Cat. Yeah. So in order to keep the strings long and ringing as possible, yeah. For example, when you have which is totally weird to do that, yeah. But you have sorry. I have the feeling that you have the full length of the string, and it actually resonates much better. Well, we'll come to that. Let's go from bar 3. Da, 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 yum, da, 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 da.
Same idea here.
Yeah, and careful. That's the danger now with this bowing. We need to be very virtuosic. Take out all the weight in the bow and really play this very softly. That we don't fall on our faces there. again, you give the tenor, or no, actually the alto voice. So we have bass, bass, baritone, and then here we have the alto. You give an extra $5 to shine. The singer's trio should be absolutely homogeneous here. It's really like playing a D minor chord on the piano. Unfortunately, I'm such a bad pianist, I don't want to pester you with me trying to find a D minor chord on the piano. But it's really just a simple harmony, and it's not a harmony plus melodic voice, in my opinion. Let's give it a shot. Wherever you want. Careful, just with the last note, that it's phrasing off. Yeah? So there's no new information to be gained. Yeah, we just have a variation on F. Yeah? But it's not like we're getting new information. It's already been said. Yeah. Shall we go to the Gigue?
Okay.
Or do you want to still do work a little bit on the sarabande?
Whatever you want.
Yeah, just try that fingering once for me. Indulge me. Tell me how that sounds over there. Yeah, you really need to. I think your E flat needs to be a little bit flatter. So. Yeah, this is great because then also here you have the ringing D string. Yeah, and this to me sounds just a little, how shall we say, a little moldy, I have to say. And this, yeah, ringing strings, it's such a luxury. And Bach, with all his knowledge of stringed instruments, himself being a really fantastic violin player, yeah. He counted on those ringing strings. I'm absolutely sure. Yeah? You see that also how he set the scordatura in the fifth suite. How fantastic his knowledge was of the ringing of the instrument. Yeah, and where to put open strings and where to. Well, I mean, you know all this. I don't have to tell you. But this is for me a great example that he really counted on free ringing instruments. Let's go to here, and of course, knowing me now a little bit for now 25 minutes, would be my personal preference, I have to say. We have these two wonderfully ringing strings. Like, why dampen them? Why dampen them? Yeah. And again, imagine what it would sound like with gut. Yeah. Have you ever tried, by the way?
No.
No? Try just to put A and D some gut. I tried it. I tried to play a full set of gut strings once in concert, and I 100% failed. So I mean, it takes time to really learn it, and you know, to get the bow stroke right. You rediscover your shoulder, because with the steel string, like, we do one motion and it sounds, and to get that sound on a gut string, you really have to move the whole arm, and it's a great rediscovery of this part that we shamefully neglect with the steel string. Sorry to interrupt. Let's hear. hear this one more time. Okay. What is the harmonic progression just in that beginning?
It's 1-5-1.
1-5-1. Exactly. But then I wonder why when you come back to the 1, you give me that extra kick. Yeah. Here's the thing. Cellistically, you are doing absolutely the right thing. Harmonically, not. Yeah, and that's why I said in the beginning, cellistically, I enjoy what you do, and I enjoy the sounds that you get out of it, and I enjoy, also just the panache that it has. I mean, it's very good playing, but it neglects the harmony a little bit too much for my taste. Yeah. Okay, let's try one more time from the beginning. What instrument is that?
That'd be like a trumpet?
No, it's a bordone. And the bordone is a very interesting instrument. You know it already, or not yet? No. Okay. So it's an interesting mechanism where you have horsehair over strings, but you have a wheel that you turn, and so there is an infinite contact to the strings, and it's played with a claviatura. So da 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 da. It's a very mechanical instrument. Yeah, you get that in most gigs. Yeah. In the was that? Yeah, exactly. From Third Suite. And this is something that is rather mechanical. It's nothing beautiful. It's really something that you find on the market, and it's really noisy instrument. And it's the same thing here. Yeah. So please don't beautify at the end, but he also lets you end on a nasty chord. That ninth, yeah. And if you put then you put a lot of vanilla powder sugar on something that is actually really sticking out. Yeah. Just to tell you the origin of this kind of, it's really coming from folk style. Yeah. Well, by the way, what is the meaning of gigue? Do you know where it comes from?
I mean, the meaning of the name now.
Okay.
It's from Ireland, right? The Gigue.
Well, I don't know if it's Ireland or somewhere in the UK. It's to jig is to jump, so it's a jumping dance.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and to jig, so it got Frenchified to gigue. Yeah. Yeah, so it fits all the other names. Yes, so jumping dance, and that's where these folk instruments come in. It's noisy. It's a marketplace, and that you have these instruments that actually keep one bass note, and then on top of that you can improvise something. Yeah. Okay, so let's go before that a little bit. What works for you?
Maybe from.
Yes, and you are such an amazing virtuoso that for you jumping to that C is absolutely no problem at all. Just imagine that there is also your combo in the back. So you got the drummer taka tika taka tika taka, and you also got the bass player. Ding, boom, ba-da-ba-da-ba-dum. In this case, the bass is on the backbeat. So whenever you have a changing bass, and whenever the bass changes in close succession, don't play too quickly, because the bass needs to come after you. Yeah. Just also for me as a listener, I'm of course very intrigued by your virtuosity, but harmonically I cannot follow you because it's going so quickly. Just psychologically, I need more time to understand it. Yeah, as a listener that doesn't know it. Let's start in the same spot. And you realized again, first you did some beauty, but the second time you did it, I liked it. It was really good. Let's not put too much sugar. Yeah, let's show the nasty chords, because if you don't show me how chords are uncomfortable, then I also don't feel the need for resolution. Okay, and as a listener, I need to long for that resolution. That I'm like, you know, and actually Bach's son, Carl Philipp Emanuel, he was the first one to put crescendo diminuendo. Yeah, so he took that concept of tension and release even further than his father. And it is said that the first time when an audience heard piece by Carl Philipp Emanuel where he did crescendo diminuendo with the crescendo, the whole audience stood up, and with the diminuendo they sat down again. Yeah, that's how visceral this whole concept of tension and release was. Yeah. So if you don't give me good tension, there's no need for me to relax, and then I just have it as background. But I want to be grabbed by your playing. Okay. So let's just where you started before was good. Yeah. Okay. One last thing. Dum bum 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 dum da 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 dum dum. Yeah. Let's say that is our thesis, or yeah. Let's say it's our thesis, and then comes a little explanation why that is like that. Yeah. So I want to have different characters there. I want. Can you play the beginning of second half? Just let's play the thesis one more time.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And now. So, what could be a good thesis? Like in words. You think of something, I think of something. Yeah. Tonight it's cold, that's why I'm gonna wear boots. However, they have to be of a certain kind so it's not too hot, and they still have to have some sort of plasticity or something like that. Yeah. So you make a statement and then you explain that statement. So don't put them on the same hierarchy level, but the explanation should be maybe a little bit more under. Yeah. Dum ba should be top, and then dum is an explanation that is under it. Yeah, but you play it with the same expression. It's all working perfectly. Yeah, yeah. But can I also feel through your body language that you give me a strong statement, and then you weasel a little bit through. Yeah. Good. No, this is all going very well. I want you to introduce speech a little bit more. Yeah, when you read Harnoncourt, which is the author that I mentioned in the beginning, all this music is also speech related. Yeah, it's not melody related, but it's speech related, and it's related to gesture relation. Yeah. Yeah, these are not individual notes, but these are gestures that go like this. Yeah? And so when you continue working this, think of physical gestures that go with it. Maybe even make a choreography. Why not? Lock the door and just come up with a dance. I mean, why not? I have to tell you, and then we have to do the changeover to the next student, but one of the most inspiring afternoons I had was in our where I teach in Cologne in Germany. We had a choreographer come for historic dance, for Baroque dance, and there was a shortage of guys, so I got subscribed, so to speak, and it was amazing because suddenly we saw these dances turn into physical motion. And of course, we think of them as sort of being abstract and stylized dances, and that is all true. But to see what it's like to dance a sarabande, or to see what it's like to dance an allemande, which was the most interesting to me because it's actually double tempo, was something very cool. So I mean, I don't know if you have the chance to have historic dance in San Francisco, but go to YouTube and look for a gigue, how the choreography looks like. Yeah, I don't know if you've done that already, but I find it highly inspiring. Yeah, and that just to really see, well, what does it mean to jig? What is that jumping? Especially with all their costumes and everything what they're wearing. How high were they actually? Is it a pogo dance, or is it just like a little jolt? I don't know. But you'll find out very soon. Carlo, all the best to you, and many greetings to Mexico City.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Great stuff. Congratulations. Really, really good. Nice to see you, Bowen. How are you?
Good.
Good, yeah, fantastic. So you are also in the Bay Area, I heard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Good. Can you hear me okay? Is that balance? Yeah.
Well, right now I can hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Okay, so first of all, congratulations. I got the music beforehand, and I mean all this stuff puts every popper etude to shame. So congratulations for playing this in such an excellent way. Before we dive into the music, I just want to address something at the bow that I see, and that is that you curl the fingers these two. You curl around quite a lot, and that stiffens the other fingers. So I find the bow hold rather stiff. I've not really seen you do a lot of this stuff, and maybe that also could lead to a little bit more, to a sound that goes a little bit more into the string rather than on top of the string. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Could also be that maybe you, just for fun, can work a little bit, leave these fingers off, and then work a little bit on the flexibility of these two. You want to try that once? Just take the bow in the yeah, exactly. Just sort of move that back. No, just take it in the hand. Off the string. You could just do like this. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I see everything move except for the fingers. I'd love for you just to sort of move the fingers down. You see? So now my fingers are up.
Oh yeah.
And now they move down like this. Huh? No, I see your wrist doing beautiful things. The wrist is great. Yeah? It's really about getting the flexibility of the fingers. Yeah?
Oh.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I see almost none of that when you play. I feel like these are quite stretched. I don't know if this is a unknown feeling to the fingers right now. Maybe it feels like
it's just too stressful.
Too stressful.
I mean, in the recording.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it is stressful to record. That is true. Absolutely. But let's use this as a moment of actually relaxation. If you know, it's funny. I also am a lot in stressful situations in concerts or recordings or YouTube videos or whatever, and it's stressful for sure. But if I find one part of my body that is allowed relaxation, like here, then that translates into everything. It's really cool. It's really great. So allow this to be part of your relaxation. Also, I'm not so sure if you're, let's see how we do this. When you curl the fingers around like this, how much of the pronation is actually happening? I wonder about that. Yeah. Can you put the camera a little bit down so I see what you're doing on the string? Yes, excellent. Yeah, perfect. No, that's already really great, Bowen. That's awesome. No, just maybe a chord and see how these fingers can give in a little bit more. Yeah. And you see, it's like a suspension on a car. When you the suspension does not move actively, so you don't necessarily need to prepare the bow change like that, but you come to the change, and then for me this part moves first, and it just pulls the fingers after it. So you know, although this is a very active practice when we do this, or when we do the spider or whatever, yeah, when we do all of this nice stuff, but in the end this is actually a passive motion. And just because my camera is fixed, I maybe need to stand up to show you. Yeah. you see how, especially these two fingers, they are responsible to move. Because if they are stiff, then everything else is stiff. You can't move it. It's just a force. It's just a law of physics. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't fix this so easily over the internet, but and I'm not intending to. I just wanted to point that out, that was something that I realized maybe could use a little bit of attention at least.
Yeah.
Because everything you do musically is so impressive. I want to go into the second movement with you first.
Yeah.
You know, the problem with solo repertoire is that we have to create everything.
Yeah.
We have to create the rhythmical structure. We have to create the dramatic curve. There is no pianist and no orchestra to help us with that, but we have to do everything ourselves. And already in the first bar, you need to educate me as a listener that these pizzicatos are not on the beat, but they're off beat.
Oh, yes.
Ba, ba. Yeah. So this is actually, these are two upward motions rather than brum, brum. Because if I would only listen to you, I would think it is on the downbeats.
Yeah.
Yeah? I have no chance of discovering that. So how do we play offbeat pizzicatos? Ba, ba. What do you suggest?
I would say give us a gesture, like.
Yeah. The way you give the gesture is down,
Yeah.
down. How about ba, ba? How about down?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I still see down instead of
Oh.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. And of course the arpeggiato, but it's more in your inner feeling that hopefully transmits to us that it's 1, 2. Sorry, 1, 1, 2. It's like you are creating an expectation, because and the problem that I had before when you were playing it, it sounded to me like, thank you very much and we can all go home. Yeah. So like finished. But actually you are opening the curtain, bam, ba, because none of us yet knows that this is actually the dominante to G minor. Yeah?
Yes.
Because it could also be the dominant, but it's not. So you need to play that pizzicato with the expectation to give me the expectation as the uneducated listener.
Yeah.
Bum bum. Yeah. So there needs to be a connection between the D major and your beginning of the arco, which is G minor.
Yes.
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 You want to give that a shot?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. You see, good, much better. I am not sure if all the in-between motion that you need to go from pizzicato to arco, dum drum, it's not a little distracting for me to feel the tempo. Bum, bum, ba-yum. Yeah? Keep that tension. That dominant tension should not be lost by all that stuff. And you're so good. For you, it's no problem. Yeah? You just need to be aware that this pause is very much part of the composition. This pause, or this rest, as you would call it, this rest, is very much part of the music. If anything, it is the music.
Yes.
The rest is the music. Yeah, and careful here. Now we have a much shorter rest.
Yes.
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah. So that's also something that I wanted to say in the first movement. Is sometimes because there is no piano, because there is no orchestra, because there is no percussion, there is no outer structure. In solo pieces, I feel often we take too much freedom. Yeah. Do you know where the word freedom, the word rubato, do you know where that comes from? It's an Italian verb, rubare. Do you know what it means?
Like a little bit more or less or longer for I'm not sure.
That's fine. Rubato comes from the Italian rubare, which means stealing. Yeah. So when you play rubato, you steal time here and there, but because we are honest people, we give it back. Yeah. So whenever you take a little bit of time, you have to give it back. Okay. If you decide to put a little bit more time, then you have to take it back again. Okay. So as pedantic as that may sound, I like, whether it's Kodai or whether it's Hindemith or actually for Bach, I like to practice it very straight, almost dry, and then I decide where I take time rather than starting off playing very, very free.
Okay.
That is at least just to tell you my approach. Yeah? Because otherwise, for me as a listener, I have nothing to hold on to. Rega is another good example. If Rega is completely without any bones, shall we say, bones is the important word.
Yeah.
If Rega is without bones, then it's just like harmonic mess. And this goes a little bit in that direction. Okay, cool. Where do you want to start from?
Maybe at the beginning?
Why not? Sounds good. Okay, so what are the things that we could hold on to as a listener? The rhythm is hard at the moment. Another one would be?
The musical line?
Musical line, for sure. Harmony, I think, is also really important.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what is the harmony that where we are in when we come to the a tempo?
A tempo? You mean the? I don't have any. You mean
you don't have any markings?
I don't think this bar.
Yeah, I meant the a tempo in. Yeah, and what harmony is that?
Minor third. Minor third.
This is a B flat minor.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we start in a C minor, and it would be really great if you give me, as a listener, the experience. Now we modulated from the C minor to the B minor and B flat minor, and we did that in the following harmonies. That knowledge you need to have, because otherwise it's just a whole line of question marks. To tell you the truth, because I mean I never played this piece, so you have the luxury of having someone with fresh ears, and I I just don't understand what you're doing in between C minor and B flat minor. So maybe you can explain to me a little bit in these 1, 2, 3, 4 bars what is happening and what your strategy is there.
I think it's it's more like the expansion of the bar 1, or I'm not sure. It's like a simple melody and added to a lot of notes within the melody.
Yes, I think that is a very good point. So you have a simple melody with Schenkerian analysis. You will find that melody very easily, and then he puts notes that don't necessarily belong into the harmony. Yeah, and those you need to show me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I give you an example. Completely different sound world. Yeah, it's just Schumann going from E flat to F, but actually he adds this note and then he adds the another G as an appoggiatura. Okay, so in order to show me as a listener and show your audience what to listen for and what are the extravagant notes that shouldn't belong, so to speak, you need to identify them and you need to show them. So let's look at the first bar. We are in C minor, so what note does not belong in C minor?
The B.
The B. B natural, exactly. Perfect. So go through the other notes rather fluid, and then show me that one note that doesn't belong. That's the stone in the shoe.
Okay.
Yeah. Also the D flat does not belong. Yeah. So that chromaticism is something that is a little bit uncomfortable. By the way, again, I'm speaking from the point of view of the uneducated cellist that is listening to this for the first time. It is lento sostenuto, but it's in 4.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
So no matter what tempo you choose, make sure that I get the feeling we are in 4 and not in 8.
Yes.
Yeah, that there is some sort of beat. Maybe I'm far too fast now. That's very possible. But it's possible in every tempo to give me that 4 feeling. Careful with that calando, that it's nice that you end this so beautifully, but I want to feel that the D natural is actually waiting for resolution. So it has a lot of tension, but it's also in the diminuendo. So it's this kind of tension. And then I can go in the B flat minor. Yeah. Why don't you do that calando bar? So that is 1 bar before the tempo. Yeah, and for the we've been so soft this whole time, and then for the first time he puts the crescendo diminuendo, and then this is a chance for us to keep the listener interested, that actually the vain tenor has entered the stage. Yeah? Before it was more the musicologist in the basement. Yeah? Give me something for my soul here. Yeah? Let's go again from B. This is really good. I like that C up there. This is very good. When it comes to the arpeggios now, of course they're highly complicated, and I'm glad you're giving me a little bit of time to understand them. However, if you play dee da dum da, we are again in 8. Yeah. So in order to keep us in 4. There needs to be some sort of sense that these are 6 instead of just 3 3 3. It's a little bit confusing because he writes 3 3 3 3, but we are in a time signature of 4. This is undoubtedly, yeah.
Yes.
Can you try once to, just with the danger of losing a couple of notes, just to give me the musical idea of staying in 4, and then we'll have to do the changeover. Yeah. It's good. Now I have a flow. It's so good, but it's really difficult, of course. Yeah. Do it one more time. It was so good. Let's go from the top C. Yeah, because now when you play like this, Bowen, the ritenuto actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Because before you were so in such small detail that there was no need for another ritenuto. It was all ritenuto in a way. Yeah.
Yes.
So dramatically speaking, we've compressed the whole thing a little bit more. And therefore, I, as a listener, I'm more going from A to B to C with you, rather than getting lost in all those details.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that obviously was the most fantastic violinist of his time.
Yeah.
That all of these things also have an improvisatory character to them. Yeah. It's like in the morning, I'm just gonna come up with some stuff.
Yes.
And I think that's also how some of this, I'm not saying the majority of it, even if it's just small details, but I think some of it is in that idea of, let's see how crazy I can modulate from one harmony to the next, but in an improvised way. Yeah. And what you did now with those 6 doublets was great. That was really good. Yeah. Maybe we can think more along those lines. Bon, I'm so sorry. We have to go to the next one.
Okay.
But it was a pleasure to hear you, and it was also a pleasure for me to get to know this music a little bit better with you. So thank you very much for that. Yeah. See you next time. Thank you. Let me unmute this. Yeah, Chloe, can you hear me now? Can you hear it? Is it okay?
Yes. Can you
Good.
hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Well, congratulations. That is fantastic. One of my Corona projects is actually to relearn Bach 6. So this is very inspiring. Got the music here, so ready to go. Listen, there is very few things to say, and I pull my hat to everybody who plays Bach 6 like you do. So I don't want to artificially look for problems where there are none. I think, if anything, you could now rejoice in the fact that you play it so well and make it look a little bit less like work, and give me the feeling as a listener that this is actually the most joyous piece of music, which in fact it is. I think we can argue that once we take away all the technical challenge, it doesn't get more joyous than that. Yeah. So I'd love to encourage you just to not to focus so much on watching what you're doing. I don't know if you know that phenomenon when you get on an elevator and there's 5 people and suddenly one person is looking up, everybody else is following that gaze. Yeah. So the same thing goes for an audience, by the way. If you concentrate with your gaze on something, everybody's like, is that difficult? Is there something going on? And we should not give that away. I mean, that is an inside business secret between all of us, that it doesn't play itself, shall we say? Yeah. So and I still must say, for me, the it's a mystery how Yo-Yo Ma in his career probably once looked at his fingerboard and never otherwise. It's just like, Stephen is also like that. Is completely disconnected with visually what was going on here. I admire that, and I don't know if that can also inspire you in a way. Yeah. Okay, so shall we just go from the top? Is that all right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just with the and now, because we're in the safe space of just you and me and a million other people, so you can feel free to make some mistakes, but give me a little bit more of an upward approach rather than this is work. Yeah?
Sorry, my internet is going well.
Yeah. No, it's good that you interrupted. Listen, I feel, because we're doing so much Bach, I completely feel like a one-trick pony, because I always come back to the harmony. And I apologize to all our viewers that I'm giving such a boring class today, but this is what I'm passionate about, so I can't help myself. Already in the first bar, we're going from, we have a 1-5-1, right? Dum dum bom bom, right?
Yes.
Dum da ya dum dum dee dum. Yeah, and it always, because cellistically, with that chord, it's the strongest of the bunch. Yeah. For fun, play this once a fifth lower as it's intended. So as if you would have a 5-string. Yeah, exactly. So that is what it would be like if there was another string. Yeah? Which would be great. Have you ever tried on a 5-string?
No.
It's fascinating. Just, I would say it's easier at first, but then you realize the music is just as complex, and you still need to deal with that. And suddenly, when you have another string, you just don't know where to orientate yourself, because we've spent our life on 4 strings, and suddenly there's another one, and you're like, totally disoriented. But this is a great method to just take the difficulty out and just understand the simplicity also of those open strings. Yeah? There's nothing spectacular, and then should also not get a. Actually, I use open strings. Which I don't recommend. I mean, it's just something that I love. I love those open strings, but don't take that advice from me. Yeah, I just wanted to mention it. Yeah, do take it, but don't take it. That's the thing. Like, I have a hesitation recommending these things, because 99% of other people are going to tell you, "Oh, that's complete bullshit. Why are you doing it?" But there are certain things in these suites that like everybody, I mean, I just have a particular favor for, and one of them is the open strings, just because of Bach's understanding of resonance and his. I mean, when you think open string, quinta, yeah, he composes music that is meant to have a resonance and have to make that thing resonate by itself. Yeah, that's why I find that interesting. Okay, let's go back to what you did, and now let's take that information of dum dum ya dum dum dum, a little bit of a resolution. I don't know if you were online before when I was talking about the bordone. The bordone. I was talking about that special instrument which has one string that is always being played, and then it has other notes that are played with, and it's the same thing here. Again, it's the Gigue, so it's the folkiest of the dances. So you are, in my opinion, almost applying too much culture. Dum da 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 da. It's really one of those instruments. Dum dee da 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 da. Also harmonically, not much is happening. And then we go on with something else. Yeah. Sophistication for the first 4 bars, and then folk style for the next 4 bars. Let's try that. Okay, it's a little hard to hear over Zoom, but it sounds to me that is soft, and then actually that is the loudest.
Yeah.
Please don't disregard the harmony. Cellistically, again, you're doing exactly the right thing. Just goes out, and it's a lot of fun to play that chord, to bounce it off. But harmonically, it's a resolution. Yeah. I think. Am I wrong? Maybe I am. Tell me.
No, you're right.
I think in this case I might be. Yeah. So either if you want to keep that sort of panache and schwung, then needs to be even stronger, just so that we create a tension that is worth a release. That's all I'm asking for. Yeah. So, and now dum da dum dum da dum dum da. Now was a little bit more straight. Now let's split the difference. Okay. Let's keep the deftness of it. Yeah. But let's still phrase a little bit. Okay. So let's split the difference in these two. But it's Bordone. Look it up on YouTube. There are actually some. I don't think there are many originals, but there are some replicas, and they sound really nasty. I mean, they really need to sound louder than the market, and everybody yelling like, "Oh, tomatoes 250, I don't know, apples 390. What? No, it's impossible." And da. You have above that. Okay, so it's not the most sophisticated instrument. That's all I'm saying. Look it up. Okay, let's hear it one more time. If you have the music in front of you, if you have the music in front of you, when did we start the E7?
Sorry, my music is in alto clef, so I don't really look at it.
Ah, okay. Okay. You know, what I'm trying to say is that when you play, we're already in. Yeah. So this is not new information. Yeah, but this has been around for let's say, this has been around for 1.5 bars.
Yes.
Da dum bum ba. So this whole section, because it's looking for the resolution, dum 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 da, da. Yeah. The whole thing needs to be a little bit more supported, I would think.
So
Because
all of these are more supported.
yeah, already starting. That is already in the harmony. I just want to bring the attention to you that, I just want to bring to your attention that we are already in the harmony that needs to be resolved.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have ya dum dum da dum da ya dum dum da dum da ya da dum 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 ya dum dum dum. No. Alto clef.
Yeah, it's the manuscript. He wrote it in alto clef, and that my score, the Peter's score is like the manuscript. So everything is in alto clef.
As if life wasn't hard enough, eh?
Right. From here.
Yeah, let's go 2 bars before that.
I'm thinking it.
You use a 4th finger, huh?
Yes.
Wow, chapeau, huh? No, really. I mean, it's good when it works. Huh?
What? It's not really
Yeah.
work. What do you do?
Da 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 da. I think I do. Yeah. How I continue, I have to look up because I'm not at home, so I don't have my music. And again, 6 is something that I've never done as much as the others, and this is a good opportunity for me. But I do remember that I don't use 4, but I securely do this, and then I have to do a shift. Yeah?
Yes.
But the thumb stays as my fundament.
Yes.
So that for sure. No, I just wanted to say very well. Let's continue. Dum dum da dum 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 da dum. Yeah. Again, this would have been 2 open strings, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you give us the illusion with the amount of bow that you would use on open strings? What do you have, a thumb or what do you use? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I personally do not like so much that show me the harmony, really pure. Yeah. You turn it into a little bit of an opera there. Yeah. I wonder, all these figurations in 16th notes, if they could be a little bit more inegal. I feel too much, I come into this sense of sort of a perfect row of these 16ths. Yeah. And when you go back to Harnoncourt, he mentions that his theory is that sort of 16th notes that resembled their neighbor, so to speak, happened in 1789, which of course was the
Revolution.
Exactly, French Revolution. So there was fraternité, but then there was also égalité, and the égalité, of course, only for a handful of people, but the égalité was also brought to then through the invention of the conservatories. Meant that the 16th note that you would learn in Paris was the same 16th note that you would play in Lyon, in Strasbourg, and subsequently then in Cologne and going up until to the east. Yeah, so this is very untypical for this time to play these 16th notes in such a sameness, if you know what I mean. Yeah, because they lose their speech. If you play them too exact, then they lose their natural flow of conversation, and it sounds a little bit like my Apple Mac computer is speaking. Yeah. Hello, Johannes. How are you this morning? Would you like to know the weather? Thank you very. Of course, you don't play like that. Yeah. Please don't understand me wrong. Yeah, you play great. But could give you the freedom of maybe also with being a little bit more creative with the bowing, because not all of them are connected. Yeah, some of them are also détaché. So that could give you a possibility of playing a little bit more in a free way, I would say. Yeah, that just as an inspiration for future practice, or not. You can also throw it out. Okay, dum dim da 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 dum bum. I'm singing in wrong tonality. Sorry. Da 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 dum bum.
Yes.
Yeah. Chloe, I have a question. Your D is getting a lot of vibrato, and then you play the open strings. How would it sound? Bum, bum, really pure, and instead of vibrato, you allow the notes. I don't want to bam into the microphone. You give it a shape. Yeah. That's the composition basically. Ba. Upwards. Yeah, and here's the thing. When I say less vibrato, I don't want you to have the feeling that I'm taking something away from you. Quite the contrary. I want you to replace it with something else. So the emotion that goes into here, you take it, and it goes into the right hand. Yeah, so maybe even if you need vibration, I do it once like this. Okay, whatever you do with the bow, I want you to get a little bit more creative with your bow stroke on the long notes. Yeah, because otherwise it's like, oh, someone has taken away the beauty in my sound. No, we're just replacing it with another beauty. Yeah, and that is found in the right time in abundance, but we're just lazy nowadays. Yeah, because everything is done with the right hand, with the left hand. I'm sorry. Yeah, and let's just transfer some of the emotion into this hand. Good. Wonderful. So, on top of all your great playing, thinking of how all these chains of notes can have a little bit more of a creative flow. Yeah? Not too much égalité, but actually speech. Yeah? Thinking how you can transfer the emotion that we have, because this is very emotional music. I mean, my heart races when I hear this, yeah? How we can replace the instinct of doing this into something that we do here. Huh? And otherwise, just enjoying how good you play. And don't, and I mean this in all seriousness, don't hesitate to show me how much you enjoy your good playing. Huh? When I saw the video, I was like, well, this looks like work, but it sounds really good. So don't tell me that. Don't tell me that it's work. Yeah, this is just between you and me and a million other cellists. Yeah, nobody else needs to know. All right, Chloé, thank you very much. Thank you. And I think if we have any questions, we could open the forum for that now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Johannes, for the masterclass. So
thank you.
Yeah, so many great ideas, and also thank you so much for caring and being so passionate about the teaching. It's just like you're giving your time like that. It's wonderful. We have a few questions from the audience, and actually before how much time do you have left for us?
I mean, we could do as many as you want. I mean, if in 20 minutes I can start having dinner, then it's going to be 9:30. That would be great. But you know, if there's a lot of questions, we have time. This is no hurry. Yeah.
So the first question was, what is it like to be an artist who travels a lot during a time of quarantine?
Well, it means that I'm not traveling. Simple as that. It actually, I consider myself very lucky that I live I have two hats in my life, that I have the teaching in Cologne at the Hochschule, and that I do this because at least I don't have to worry how the food comes on the table. What worries me really is how we're gonna get out of this as cultural institutions, and how some of the orchestras that now were sent home, especially in the United States, with 1 month of pay and 1 month of healthcare, which I think is crazy. How we are going to reclaim that, because we all know that if you cancel something, it's very hard to rebuild that. So we need to be very much aware that the orchestras have been building their seasons over decades. And I just hope that we can sort of reclaim that. Also, of course, for the generation that is now just ready to start, right? I mean, like the wonderful cellist that we had heard today, that that there is still going to be enough institutions that hire people, and that there is a workplace for everybody. Mm-hmm. I will say, from a personal standpoint of view, I am enjoying this time very much, because it's a time of learning for me, and it's a time of really going back to the basics, and also reopening chapters that there's just no time when you travel as much as I do. I mean, I've 250 travel days. You don't necessarily sit down and think about how the minor third is put in intonation. And now is the time to do it. And so I appreciate that. At the same time, I see very close friends of mine suffering financial losses of huge existential magnitude, and that of course troubles me personally very much. So I'm torn between the two, the personal enjoyment, but also of course my empathy for my friends.
Wonderful. Yeah, I agree so much with all of it. I actually do feel exactly the same. All right. Well, all right. That's another question. What audio, video, and streaming tools do you use? Not just for this class, but for other online lessons and classes you've done.
So I'm using. I have this thing called Camlink, which enables me to put my DSLR camera, take the HDMI out and turn it into a webcam. So that's why this picture is quite crispy. I have the H4n Pro here, which is pretty good, pretty decent for sound, and which also you can turn into a sound card. So you don't have to put the audio through a different sound card, but actually it turns into a sound card itself. So that's really cool. And yeah, the Camlink I talked about. I do think one can get pretty decent results with this as well, or just with a laptop. It's more about understanding light than about the equipment itself to get a plasticity in the picture. But of course, to have a good camera helps, and also to have a good lens that is open enough for sort of a darker environment like this. So this is a 1.8 50 millimeter, if that says anything to your audience. So and of course 1.8 goes out pretty decently. I also have a zoom which would have allowed to show more of the cello, but it only goes to 4.0, and that would have been far too dark for this now. So yeah. Geek talk. I can't hear you now.
Have you ever experimented with another device, a second device that would show a different angle while you're demonstrating things like that? I don't know, an iPad on the side or a phone or.
I've experimented with that. I feel like because I do get so involved with the music, I feel like that almost would distract me a little bit too much. Just from a flow perspective in the lesson. But that is just a personal choice, and I'm people that have a setup where they can just sort of push a button and then it goes to a different perspective, I think is great, because now let's say I teach from my laptop, at least I can move the camera that way, yeah. But I have distance, and then I need to go to the laptop and do it, and it's not ideal. I mean, we're still working out the kinks, I guess. But it's cool. I've seen setups where they have like two cameras and like from the side and also one from the front. Really cool stuff is going on. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Here's a student question. How do you keep yourself motivated these days?
Mm-hmm. So in the first week I was completely unmotivated. I was like as if someone had pulled the plug out of the wall, and I was just like, totally paralyzed, because for the past 20 years I've been just finishing a concert and already thinking about the next one and the one after next, and so there was so much planning involved, and suddenly when you have such a long break, that goes away. The motivation for me, and this is going to sound very simple-minded and stupid, but my motivation to practice is because I actually love music and because I love the contact with the instrument. And it's good that I have this time now to realize that I physically want to spend time with my cello, without any pressure from the outside. And I'm glad I made that realization, because otherwise maybe it would have been time to start up carpentry or go into a law firm or something like that, because if when you're so in the rat race of things, it's very easy to forget your motivation. And I think this time is going to be also very uncomfortable for a lot of people, because they realize, hey, when there is no one screaming at me, you have to finish something, or no one screaming, next concert is in a week, you have to practice. But when that falls away, what is my motivation towards the instrument? And I think I think that is a very fair question, and something that one should really put in front. And it's a very uncomfortable question, and one should also hear the honest answer to that, because that's a lot of, we grow up with our instruments as kids, and we don't ask questions. And Mama says go practice, and Papa says I'll practice with you, and it sort of just goes. And then a lot of people at the age 19, 20, 21, suddenly they wake up in a jolt, and they're like, what have I been doing for the last 15 years with my life? And is this something that I want, or am I just fulfilling something for other people? And so I think this crisis is going to pose that question for a lot of people, and I encourage everybody to be brave to face it.
Oh, great, wonderful answer. Do we have time for maybe a couple more?
Of course, yeah.
Let me see. I hope I'm not skipping. Yes. Can Mr. Moser discuss bow changes at the end of the bow, particularly at the heel? I want more seamless bow changes that are less liable to interrupt a musical line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big subject, and it's a big big question mark for me also, because I'm struggling with that as well. So whoever asked that question, I feel for you. I personally used to come to the tip and then do a lot of action to push the fingers forward and at the same time move the wrist backwards, sort of send the fingers forward and then the wrist in the other way. And I realized that in concert there is not always the best chance for success. And Heinrich Schiff, with whom I took a lesson once, he actually said, at the tip I almost do nothing, I just change really quickly. And then I looked at some of the Navarra videos, how he talks about the bow change, and he is actually not doing a lot. He says the fingers are actually more of a passive suspension, as I mentioned that in I think in Bowen's class, and so I think we need to actively train that. So sending the fingers forward and sending the wrist backward at the same time. But when it comes to performance and when it comes to the actual music making, this preparation exercise will allow us to do this as a passive motion. And at least that is my philosophy on it. But I've seen videos on the internet where people explain, well, this should be a curved 8, and then put 2 grams less on this finger, and the level of sophistication that is out there far exceeds my expertise. So I'm very sorry that I have to give a very rudimentary answer, but I think to prepare the suspension and then let it move passively is what I would suggest. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, outside of actually playing and practicing the cello, what type of work do you do to further understand the music you're working on? Is there anything outside of the music that helps?
Life. There was a time when I would read and go to museums and go to theater in order to understand music better, and I understand that is the wrong way. I think, at least for me, I think you need to read as much as you can, you need to go to as many plays as you can, and you need to listen to as much music as you can of different genres, and trust that your soul and your understanding will turn the complexity of the brain into something that is understanding more without you making a master plan. Let's say I'm playing Debussy, so I have to go to the National Gallery and now only watch Courbet, and only watch and only go to plays that were written by impressionistic and expressionistic authors. I think doing that kills the joy of inspiration. And someone once put it very very clearly, like when we talk about what is creativity, it is actually two elements of different nature that create something third. And so if I have a lot of those elements floating around in my consciousness, something will come together. But it's actually better for these elements not to be of the same kind. Yeah, so let's say like I only read literature when I play Shostakovich. I only read I don't know, Dostoevsky and just to sort of get into that world. But I take all different kinds of things and trust that the soul and the inspiration will create something that is also unexpected. I don't think that we can create inspiration necessarily in a very linear way. I think inspiration also likes to take detours. Yeah, and this is the killer of inspiration. And that's why I restrict myself to as little as possible and try to come to reading. And now theater is closed, but I just moved to Vienna for the reason because they have such good theater. They got the Burgtheater and they got the Akademietheater, and these are theaters that I absolutely love. And it's an art form that I love, but I don't necessarily am an expert in. And I think that is also very important, that we don't just consume art in the field where we are experts. Like if we only listen to classical cello music, we really limit ourselves to the smallest denominator. So let's branch out. I think that is what I would like to say. Yeah, and exercise. I think exercise is the key. Yeah, exercise. Cello playing is not healthy. I mean, it's sitting, and it's sitting with a light turn. And I mean, I'm trying to mobilize myself as much as possible, but running, swimming, whatever we can do is yoga. It's great stuff.
Yeah, I again, you're preaching to the choir here. Yay!
Good. Thank you.
Okay,
shall we take one more?
Yeah, there is one more. How did you prepare for the Tchaikovsky competition? How long was your process?
Lifetime. Well, it's, and I'm only half joking, because some of the pieces that I played there, I mean, I played throughout my whole studies. I think I had 12 pieces on my program, and to think that I would learn all those 12 pieces in the half year leading up to the competition would be utopic. So you have to build a lot of repertoire early on. And if going to the Tchaikovsky is a goal of yours, or to Geneva or to any of the great competitions, then plan long term and plan 4 years ahead and say, well, I will need these key pieces. I will need Beethoven 3, and I will need Boccherini 6, and I will need Schumann Concerto, and then and the Piatti Caprice, and I practice these over time. Now, when it came closer to the competition, I made myself a master plan when to practice which pieces, but I tried to go in intervals of 2 days, so that within 2 days I would touch all 12 pieces in some sense. And because I had prepared these pieces over the years to a level where I could brush them off within about 2 weeks, it was fine for me to have those 2-day intervals. So I would I would cover all 12 pieces in those 2 days. And even if it was just playing through a piece slowly, at least in my mind I felt like I had touched this and I had it in the fingers, quite literally. Yeah. And then I about 2 months before, I scheduled a lot of recitals. So I played the pieces live in the program, but also in a succession, in a way that they would come in the rounds. So the let's say the second round was a sonata round, so that came pretty frequently, and I tried to recreate what it would be like when I was on stage there, and when I would go from Brahms F to Bach 4 and then to Elfentanz, to really feel what that journey also feels like in that hour. Yeah, and so not just to play the individual pieces, but to play the individual rounds. I think that was also a key, because once you finish that Brahms F, and then suddenly you have to go to E flat major, you're like, where is that intonation again? And to do that a couple of times, and then still have enough strength for the spiccato, it's something that you do a couple of times. So I think preparing for the competition is actually doing a lot. I wish I had more mental preparation. So I wish what I did later on, when I prepared for my debut with a Berlin Philharmonic, I felt very, very anxious, and I felt like I couldn't do it. So I went to a mental trainer who works with tennis players usually, and with Olympic people, and she really prepared me mentally to get through those concerts in a positive way. And I wish I had that 10 years earlier for the Tchaikovsky, because it would have meant that I don't know if I would have played better, but I would have enjoyed the process more. And when you do such a competition, it's something that stays with you for a lifetime. Like somebody who does a competition, they know exactly what you did in what round and what mistake you did. And just for my mental hygiene, I think it would have been nice to not just to go and be thrown into that pool of sharks, but to have a little bit more mental preparation. And yeah, I think that I would do that differently. I think if I may do that as a closing remark, as musicians, we are often under the impression that we have to do everything by ourselves, and we have to practice by ourselves, and we have to tackle all our problems by ourselves and tackle our health problems by ourselves. And reach out if you feel you need help. If you feel that you have anxiety problems, then reach out to someone who's a professional and talk about it, and already knowing that you have a professional team, maybe also physiotherapists that you have the shoulder problem. Yeah, I mean, of course you can, like you can use these balls to help yourself a little bit, yeah, but to have someone who actually gets rid of it. Get professionals on your team, because every third-rate soccer player and every second-rate tennis player has a team of 5 to 10 people. And why are we supposed to do everything by ourselves? I think that's ridiculous. So I think creating a team in this very demanding journey is something that I want to I want everybody to have. So yeah. There you go.
Wow, this is so wonderful. Thank you so much for your generosity and spending so much time with us, sharing these great ideas. The more we can hear this kind of attitude, the better. You're being so positive with this situation. Of course it's a difficult situation for all musicians, but there are benefits in it, and opportunities to change for the better. And we thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
And then of course, bravo to our 4 students for playing today and being part of this. I'm so glad personally just to have been able to meet you that way.
I hope in person
very soon. All right. Well, thank you all for watching this Tiny Dorm masterclass. Have a wonderful weekend, or rest of your weekend, depending on where you are. And I guess the next one will be this coming Thursday. It's a violin masterclass. All right. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.